Joe, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? Pure, good to see you as well. Evening. How you doing? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. What's causing the pump? I just want to tell you during this live. Regarding the pump that's happening inside the crypto space, I've been telling everyone for weeks because during the past week, I've been reading out reports from all these banks and institutions. And every single one of those reports that I've been reading to everyone is on similar lines. They were all, the closer we get to the election date, we're going to see Bitcoin going to $73,000. We pass the election date, Trump's wins, we're going to see $125,000. So regarding the pump that's happening, I've been talking about it for weeks. I've been reading out reports from Deutsche Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and BlackRock analyst, Morgan Stanley analyst, and JP Morgan analysts. I've been on Franklin Templeton analysts as well. I've been reading out so many analyst reports on the matters of the closer we get to the election, and they all said the exact same thing. We're going to reach $73,000 in terms of Bitcoin due to the anticipation. And then when we pass the election date and Trump becomes president, we're going to be seeing $125,000 Bitcoins as well, as a progress movement. Not an overnight type of situation. Trump gets announced, and then we're going to be seeing $125,000 Bitcoins, but it's going to be progressing towards that levels. But regarding the pumps that's been happening, I've been reading out reports for about past weeks now. Now, is it too late to buy into suits? Depends what the price is setting on right now. Come on, good to see you, well, brother. How you doing? Also depends. If you're going for long term, then probably not. If you're going short term, then yes. Evening, brother Miles. Funky brother, good to see you. Well, how you doing? Dennis, good to see you. Well, how you doing? Joe, good to see you. Well, how you doing? Evening. Come on, I'll respond back to your direct messages after this live. Apologies about yesterday and the day before. Been extremely busy. Good to see you, brother. So, on tonight's episode of the CMF Live, we're going to be talking about these subjects. How's your day been, Miles? It's been great. Lena, how's your day? How you doing? Good to see you as well. So, on tonight's episode of the CMF Live, on episode 191, we're on episode 191, which is absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking about the US Bitcoin ETFs because they've just done another high record not seen for about weeks. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Circle because Circle decided to raise their cost in terms of transactions, which might not be good for their stablecoin. We're also going to be talking about essentially Saudi Arabia on tonight's live as well. Saudi Arabia. And regarding Blackstone, which is now backing one particular candidate in the upcoming elections for the US market space. We're also going to be talking about major world bank, essentially. Standard Chartered Bank has announced a new partnership with a crypto exchange we're going to talk about. We're also going to be talking about a crypto project which is about to be passing Ethereum. Now, you might be thinking, how's that possible? The market cap of Ethereum might be too ridiculously high. I'm not talking about market cap. I'm talking about the amount of users who are holding wallets on that particular blockchain. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Bitcoin ETFs essentially approaching a new major benchmark compared to Satoshi Nakamoto. And I'll explain more once we get to that news. We're also going to be going through the news topic on tonight's live regarding billionaire Justin Sun getting ready to announce some big news. Could be possible for Tron, or it could be relating to his new presidency of becoming a president or the prime minister of a particular country, a very small country. We're also going to be going through the news topic on tonight's live show, a comment or a speech that was made by the CEO of Coinbase. And essentially, Brian Armstrong made some comments about who's going to be the next SEC chairman and how the SEC chairman should apologize to the entire crypto space. I don't disagree with him. I completely agree with him. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live regarding the $1.4 trillion earthquake coming out of China. The $1.4 trillion earthquake is going to be adding to the market space of China. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live as well. We're also going to be talking about a new report that's came out from essentially QCP, Capital Shares, on the predictions of the market space moving forward. Their reports are very similar to the familiar reports I've been reading out to everybody for the past weeks regarding Standard Chartered Bank, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, BlackRock analysts, and so on. We're also going to be talking about the CEO of BlackRock on tonight's live. The CEO is essentially of BlackRock is predicting something major is going to be happening towards the end of the year. I'll tell you what it is once we get to that news. We're also going to go through on tonight's live regarding CBDCs. A new report has came out and said that CBDCs are going to be growing about 2,400%. But before we get to the news, we're also going to go through that on tonight's live. So once we get to the news, I'll reveal more about it. We're also going to be talking about ZA Bank. Another bank has decided to enter the crypto space. And ZA Bank is going to be offering crypto services out of Hong Kong, but they're going to be letting some Chinese investors come through as well. We're also going to go through the news topic on tonight's live regarding Paxos. Paxos has been behind the stablecoin of BUSD, the famous stablecoin of Binance. And then they were behind essentially PayPal stablecoin. They've been behind quite a lot of crypto projects. And they have essentially written a letter that they've sent out to candidates, both Trump and Kamala Harris. We're also going to talk about Ripple's co-founder, Chris Larsen, on essentially on tonight's live show as well, regarding his political donations moving about inside the crypto space. So, major news to go from tonight's live. About, I would say, 99% of them are completely bullish news. I'll be honest with you. A lot of things are happening around the world. And yeah, the first news we're going to be going through on tonight's live is regarding the record high numbers of ETFs coming in right now for Bitcoin. But before we go through any of those news, I just want to say to everybody, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is episode 191, which is absolutely amazing. Thanks so much to everyone from the CMF that tunes in every single night. Absolutely amazing. And on this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital era. And we also do live Q&As as well on this live as well, which means if you have any questions, this is a live, so put them down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. I just want to say thank you so much to everybody right now on, because I'm getting notifications. Thank you so much to everybody right now on X who's liking this live, who's retweeting this live. I'm putting a comment outside of the live as well on the X post. And thank you so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching this right now. I'm putting a like under the video as well. So before we go for the first news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the first news, and then we go to Q&A, news, Q&A, news, Q&A, and back and forward. So let's see where we were inside the comment section. Let's see where we were. We were here, I think. Yeah. Miles, I still haven't invested that $10,000 into your altcoins yet, and they are altcoins are not really pumping. Well, that's a good thing. If you're essentially aiming for those types of particular coins, if they're not pumping, that's a good thing because you can still buy them low value. There's a weird person inside the comment section. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Davey, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, no worries, big bro. Let's go, come on. Good morning, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Tor, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles, and hello to all the CMF users. Let's go, JP. Good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Miles, has the bull run started? Well, I'll say one thing. The reason why the market is pumping like this, it's due to many factors, which we're going to go through in more detail on tonight's live. But the simplest thing I can say is, one, it's the elections coming up. Now, I've read many reports to everyone on this live, and I've said this at the beginning of the live as well. I read out reports from Morgan Stanley on this live. For the past week, I've been telling everybody that the closer we get to the elections, we're going to be seeing $73,000 Bitcoins. So for the past week, I've been reading out analyst reports from Goldman Sachs, from JP Morgan, from Morgan Stanley, from Franklin Templeton, even from essentially JP Morgan and from BlackRock analysts as well, and Deutsche Bank, which is not even related to the United States. And all these reports that I've been reading out for the past week have all said one simple thing. The closer we get to the elections, the higher the chance we're going to be seeing $73,000. Now, we're about 6 days away from the elections, if I'm not mistaken. That's why the market is starting to rally up as well. And all these reports said, the closer we get, we're going to see $73,000 in Bitcoins. And then they said, if Trump gets announced as the, essentially president of the United States, we're going to be seeing $125,000 Bitcoins. Now, this was an overnight, it's not an overnight type of situation. They're saying essentially we reach $73,000. It gets announced as Trump, the next president of the United States, and the market starts climbing even more. We're going to be reaching $125,000. And then they said also, if it gets announced Kamala as the next president of the United States, the market starts tanking straight away. So I've been telling everybody for the past week by reading out reports from all these massive institutions, massive banks, that we're going to be seeing $73,000 Bitcoins. I've been reading out reports from Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock analyst, even Eric, the Bloomberg specialist ETF analyst reports. So everybody should be fully aware of this matter of why the market, essentially, why is Bitcoin reaching $72,000 and getting closer to $73,000 targets. But let's go back inside the conversation. But regarding has the run started? No. One of the main factors is because it's the elections coming up, why the market is starting to move up. Two, it's because China is about to pump the market, not the crypto market, but in general, the market. China is about to pump their own economy with $1.4 trillion, which is going to boost the market even more. And then we have BlackRock, which we're going to go through on tonight's live as well. BlackRock, essentially, CEO has made a comment and said that by the end of the year, we're going to be seeing another rate cut. If we get another rate cut by the end of the year and Trump is the president of the United States, then we're just going to have a cherry on top of the market even climbing higher. So let's go back inside the comment section, but that's why the markets are pumping. It's due to the reports I've been reading out for the past week. We should have, essentially, morning, Miles of CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning, how you been, Shelly? Ray, Grand Rising CMF, good to see you as well. Ray, how you doing? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Adi, good evening, Miles and all CMF. I hope everyone is well. Good to see you as well. Adi, how you doing? My day has been a sad one. I've been in hospital to say goodbye to a friend of mine to a colon cancer. I'm sorry to hear that, Lena. Very sorry to hear that. Rest in peace. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well. George, Lena, I'm very sorry to hear that. Evening, Miles of CMF. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Peg, hi, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well. Peg, how you been? Hey, Miles. Parker, good to see you as well. How you doing? Long time. How you been? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, first news topic on tonight's live is regarding the Bitcoin ETFs. Why? Because they're doing record numbers apparently right now. The US spot Bitcoin ETFs record $479 million in net inflows, the highest they've been in 2 weeks. The US spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds ETFs witnessed an impressive influx of $479 million. This figure marks the largest daily inflows of the past 2 weeks, underscoring strong investors essentially in Bitcoin's market positions right now. The data compiled by Soso Value illustrates a continuing essentially appetite for digital asset investment products, reflecting a notable shift in the investment strategies. And as I said also, I revealed another report and an interview on this live about 2 nights ago when I said on CNBC and essentially on Bloomberg, there was an interview with a hedge fund billionaire. And this hedge fund billionaire from Wall Street said that essentially everybody on Wall Street is right now positioning themselves towards digital assets due to the markets being so on the traditional markets is not so good. And also because of the elections coming up, even Wall Street, as I said many times, is prepared for a Trump victory to become the next president of the United States. Even Wall Street has been positioning themselves. I've been telling everybody for the past week that we're going to be seeing these numbers by reading out reports and even revealing the Wall Street essentially interview that happened with that Bloomberg, essentially with that billionaire hedge fund on Bloomberg. Now, currently BlackRock's IBIT, which is the largest US spot Bitcoin ETFs in terms of net assets, have spearheaded the days and inflows, recording $315.19 million in fresh investments. This marks an impressive 11-day streak of net inflows for that particular fund. BlackRock's performance indicates a consistent investor confidence with its ongoing positive inflow streaks, setting a significant benchmark in the ETF sector. Notably, other funds also experienced inflows as well. ARK and 21 Shares essentially recorded $59.78 million in new investments, while Fidelity's FBTC gained essentially $44.12 million. Bitwise's BITB and Grayscale's BTC also added $38.67 million and $21.59 million in essentially in their portfolios as well. However, 7 other spot Bitcoin ETFs still have remained unchanged, but the main big ETFs are pumping right now for Bitcoin. Additionally, Bitcoin's price also rose by 4.75% over the past 24 hours, reaching $71,200, and also climbing even more now, a new high since June. As digital assets gain value, market participants appear eager to invest in related financial products, leading to an increase in the total daily trading volumes. These 12 USA essentially spot Bitcoin ETFs collectively reached $3 billion in trading volumes, which is adding up to $2.9 billion from the previous Friday. Moreover, the spikes in the ETFs trading volumes and Bitcoin's price suggest a close correlation between investor sentiments and crypto market trends. Industry analysts also pointed out that Bitcoin's price growth as a driving factor in the ETF investments, highlighting its potential role in reshaping how investors allocate assets in fluctuating financial landscapes. However, while Bitcoin ETFs saw significant inflows, Ethereum ETFs experienced slightly net outflows, essentially $1.14 million. This marks a decrease from essentially outflows of the $19.16 million of such indicated fluctuations in interest in Ethereum-backed products. So the Bitcoin ETFs are still pumping ridiculously, while the Ethereum ETFs are struggling slightly behind. Grayscale's essentially ETH witnessed a $8.44 million outflows, a move partially offset by the inflows of $5 million into Fidelity's ETH and $2.28 million into BlackRock's ETH essentially portfolio as well. The remaining six spot Ether ETFs did not record any inflows, and therefore Ethereum's ETFs trading volumes also slightly declined, reaching $187.49 million, down from Friday's $189.88 million. These contrasting trends underscore differing essentially the investors' approach within cryptocurrency markets, as Bitcoin is maintaining its dominant position, while Ethereum-backed products are reflecting mixed investor sentiments behind themselves. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are there from BlackRock. Right now, one of the biggest factors that's boosting essentially the Bitcoin space as well is because of Wall Street. Wall Street is head over heels right now into Bitcoin. I also mentioned this about 2-3 nights ago. All my lives are recorded and posted automatically by themselves. I've been reading out reports of how Bitcoin is going to reach $73,000 the closer we get to elections. About 6 days away, if I'm not mistaken. And I've said the reports were from essentially, one of the reports were from Goldman Sachs, the other one was from JP Morgan, the other one was from Morgan Stanley, the other one was from Deutsche Bank, and the list just goes on. The amount of institutional reports that I've been reading out on this live every single night, telling everyone that the closer we get to elections, the closer we're going to be seeing $73,000. And the cherry on top of all those reports was essentially the Bloomberg interview that happened. As I said, Bloomberg is, everybody on Wall Street listens to Bloomberg like it's gospel. And that billionaire hedge fund that was on Bloomberg mentioning that everybody on Wall Street right now is positioning themselves. This was 3 nights ago. I said everybody on Wall Street is positioning themselves right now to enter into Bitcoin, to enter into the crypto markets as well. And this was, essentially a speech that was made on Bloomberg by a billionaire hedge fund that I reviewed 3 nights ago on this live. So if anybody was tuned in for that live, you would know. And as I said, all my lives are pre-recorded automatically by themselves. The moment the live is done, it posts by itself. And I don't edit any of my lives either to make myself sound better or sound worse. They're just posted automatically as they are right now, raw edits. And I've been revealing the reports, but the Bloomberg person was, not wrong. It seems like Wall Street is definitely head over heels right now inside the market space, and they are hedging against some sort of traditional asset inflation situations. And the BlackRock essentially numbers, or the ETF market space numbers, does show what that man said on Bloomberg is true. Wall Street is head over heels. The numbers show it for themselves. So moving off essentially Bloomberg as a report, essentially moving off the billionaire hedge fund speech and the JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Franklin Templeton, and so on, all the ETF market space, to another news now, where essentially Circle has decided to raise their cost on transactions. This might be not so good for Circle in any sort of a way. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section right now before we go through that news. And as I said, this is a live, which means if you have any questions, put them down inside the comment section. I read everybody's comments one by one. I read out your name, I shout out your name, and then I read out essentially your comment and give you a response. But about 99.9% of the news we're going to go through on tonight's live is all positive news and all bullish news. Just this 0.1% that we're about to go through next, which is regarding USDC and Circle. And after that, it's all positive news back to back going through. So before we go through that next news, let's go inside the comment section right now. Let's see what's going on. And just to point out, the only thing that can bring down this market, just to point out as well, there are actually 2 things that can bring down this market. The 2 things that can only bring down this pump that's happening inside the market space. 1, geopolitical tensions. If we get, the Israel and Iran situation spiking up again, then that's going to essentially, bring down the crypto markets slightly as well. Not drastically, but it'll bring down the crypto markets slightly if Iran and Israel go at it again. So geopolitical tensions can bring this pump slightly down. Or 6 days left to the elections, the announcement is made, Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States, and then the market just completely tanks. That's when you start shorting the hell out of the markets. But there's only two essentially outcomes of the market going a little bit down or drastically down. One is geopolitical tensions. There are so much geopolitical tensions going on right now between Iran and Israel. And that could slightly bring down the market. There's pump that's happening right now. So keep that in mind as a factor of possibly happening. There has been some announcements from Israel's side that they are going to be retaliating towards Iran once again. They made the announcements today, and Iran is saying that they're getting prepared for some sort of retaliations as well. So keep that in mind just in case geopolitical tensions can bring this market slightly down a little bit more. And 6 days in, the election is done, and they get announced. Essentially Trump wins, good. Kamala wins, market tanks. And that was mentioned not just by me, but that was mentioned by Goldman Sachs analyst, JP Morgan analyst, essentially Franklin Templeton analyst, Morgan Stanley analyst, Deutsche Bank analyst, and some other more analysts from major institutions and banks. They all said the exact same things. But now, let's go to the comment section right now. Let's see what's going on here first. Let's see, my man Miles. Let's go, Parker. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Let's go. How you doing? But remember, if Trump take the chair and you are waiting on the sidelines, you can say goodbye to this bull run. But remember, if Trump takes the chair and you are waiting on the sidelines, you can say goodbye to this bull run. I agree 100%. It's kickstarting a run. 100% it's a kickstarting run. But this run will continue only if Trump takes that seat. If Kamala takes that seat, this run will be over before you know it. And again, this is a statement made by many analysts from major establishments. Hello, Miles. How are you today? Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing, Scott? How you been? Thank you all for the love. Let's go, Lena. Let's go, CMF. Thank you so much for the love, for help. So honestly. Good morning, Miles and CMF family. Ghost Burner, good to see you as well. How you doing? I love cherries on top. I'm crossing my fingers. Let's go, G. Even in Big Dog, I CMF Peep Semper. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, CMF. Please, Miles. Likes, please. Let's go, Golden. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't liked the live, go and like the live. Good day, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, brother? Any update when RLUSD will be released? It's most likely it's going to be towards the end of the year, and we're not that far off right now. Only two things can bring the market down is Kamala and Gary Gensler. And the reason why the market did pump, because there were not many long positions in open markets. That's also one of the reasons as well. But Gary Gensler can bring this market down, but he's already done as much damage as he possibly can. How high will Bitcoin go if Trump wins the presidency? Okay, great question. How high will Bitcoin go if Trump wins the presidency? Well, I'll give you essentially what the institutions said. Well, the analysts from BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and so on, Deutsche Bank, they all indicated that essentially if Trump wins, we're going to be looking at $125,000 Bitcoin. Not overnight in any type of way, but progressing towards $125,000 Bitcoin. And that was essentially a report by Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan analyst, Morgan Stanley analyst, and Deutsche Bank analyst, BlackRock analyst, Franklin Templeton analyst, and Standard Chartered Bank analyst as well. Hit the like button, show the crypto guru some support. Let's go. But yeah, there weren't that many long positions in the market as well, to be fairly honest. But the geopolitical tensions is one main factor that can bring this pump slightly down. So keep that in mind. Now, circles, we're going to talk about next. So this is the only, you could say, one particular news will get out the way, and then the rest is all bullish news. But something you have to know, essentially, Circle is raising their USDC cash out fees, affecting large-scale redemptions. The one thing that kills any essentially corporate company is greed. Apparently, Circle has decided to take a route of greed, which is not good for their USDC coin. Let me explain. Stablecoin issuer Circle has raised its fees for redeeming essentially USD coin for the second time this year. According to a Bloomberg report that came out, essentially, the company has been collecting fees on daily redemptions of at least $2 million. In February, Circle introduced swap charges for redemptions above $15 million through its Circle Mint platform. The new high fees began at 0.03%, which you might see as not that high. 0.03% per transaction is not that high for Circle to be charging for fees. However, that was the first rise they did this year. The second rise they did right now has escalated to 0.1% for withdrawals above $15 million. Now you might be thinking, well, it's for withdrawals above $15 million. That doesn't really affect the retail section. It doesn't, but it does affect the corporate section, which is where the real money's at. Primarily affecting institutional investors and high volume traders. According to unnamed sources, the revision seeks to address the increased demand for liquidity as more institutions tap into digital assets. So Circle decided that because more institutions are joining the crypto space and more institutions are going to be using stablecoins, Circle decided to raise their fees, which is the worst idea you could possibly thought of to do. Traders can still redeem USDC without fees if they are willing to wait up to 2 days for cash transfers, which is ridiculous because the whole point of crypto assets is fast, cheap, secure. But Circle's trying to increase their fees, so they're going to become expensive and slow. With tighter competition in the stablecoin market space, Circle is moving ahead with its plans for initial public offering, which is a good thing regarding the IPO. It's set to relocate its headquarters to Wall Street by 2025. The company filed for an IPO in January, pending approval from the US SEC. Circle's bid to position its USDC as the regulated alternative to the digital, essentially to the digital US dollar, includes reaching foreign markets. The company announced back in September the beginning of September, the integrations of its stablecoins with the national, essentially, banking systems of Brazil and Mexico, enabling businesses in these countries to access USDC in real time through local financial institutions. Despite the initiative, Circle has seen its market share decline over the past 2 years, following US regulators' crackdown on crypto firms in response to FTX's collapse. According to the data from essentially DeFi Llama, USDC, a market capitalization of $34 billion at the time of writing, and essentially the in total share of less than 20%. Meanwhile, its biggest competitor, Tether USDT, boasts a capitalization of $120 billion with nearly 70% market share. Tether applies a 0.1% fee as well for minting or redeeming USDT transactions exceeding $100,000. BlackRock and Robinhood are also eyeing the stablecoin market space, while the manager is planning to use a tokenized fund token built as collateral for derivatives tradings. The fintech is exploring stablecoins under the European Union regulatory framework. So, as more and more essentially institutions are joining the crypto space, Circle thought to themselves, let's start charging institutions more money for using our stablecoin, which is the dumbest thing they could have ever possibly thought of, because USDT is being investigated. As much as USDT's essentially CEO keeps on mentioning we're not being investigated, they're being investigated. And Circle raising their fees with the amount of institutions joining the crypto space is the dumbest idea they've ever possibly had, which means somebody else can take their position. And who's coming out? RLUSD. So is Circle digging in their own grave, raising their fees with more institutions coming in? What we're going to be talking about next, now moving off essentially from Circle's ridiculous idea to Wall Street. Wall Street executives, because Wall Street executives did a speech in Saudi Arabia, and they were from Blackstone. Now, if you don't know about Blackstone, Blackstone is pretty much one of those companies that's behind the scenes. And Blackstone is backing one candidate in this presidency run. Which particular candidate do you think Blackstone is backing? Everybody right now inside the comment section, put down your essentially prediction of which candidate do you think Blackstone is backing. Do you think Blackstone is backing essentially Trump in this race, or do you think Blackstone is backing Kamala Harris in this race? Because they made a speech at Saudi Arabia regarding how they think the political movement is going to be going on, essentially in the United States. And just to put in perspective, Blackstone invested $35 million in the previous election on one particular candidate. Blackstone has a lot of money, and they are one of those companies that are behind the scenes. And Blackstone right now has mentioned one particular candidate they're backing. Their last essentially, donation was $35 million to one particular candidate in the previous elections. This election, who do you think Blackstone is backing to win? While everybody answers that essentially question, let me go inside the comment section. Let's see what other questions are going there. If you have a question, go through inside the live right now. This is a live, so if you do have a question, don't be shy. Put it down inside the comment section. I'll read out your name and then your question and then give you an answer. Let's see where we were. Any updates or not? How high will the market? Already answered that. Hit the like. Okay, here we go. Hey, Miles and CMF. Good to see you guys. Time to turn on my CMF TV and go for the facts news. Hope I didn't miss much. Let's go, Carl. Good to see how you're doing. Perfect timing. Miles, you accidentally hid Choser. Oops. Choser, did I accidentally hide you? How did I do that? Chosen, I do apologize. There was a comment above you. I went to hide, and I think by mistake I might have blocked you. I don't know how to unblock you. I think you should be able to comment after a while. Apologies about that, Chosen. There was a person right on top of you that said something. I was trying to hide. Trying to be disrespectful inside the chat, and I think by mistake I must have clicked on you instead of his name. Apologies. I think in a few moments you'll be able to talk again. If not, go to X and I'll fix this. How Miles, you actually, yep. Thank you, Shelly, thank you for letting me know, Shelly. How low will the market drop if Kamala wins? They haven't stated how low the markets will drop, but they have stated that the markets will tank if Kamala wins on those reports. Hi, Miles and CMF. Good to see you, family, again. Solomon, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? I can't undo it. Yeah, neither can I. I'll be honest with you. On my screen, I can't undo it either. Scott, let's go. How you doing? How you doing, Vasil? Trump is what essentially Carrie said. So the question that I asked was, who do you think Blackstone is backing? The last time Blackstone essentially backed a presidential candidate was in the previous election, and they donated $35 million to that candidate. This time around, Blackstone is backing another presidential candidate, and they made a speech about it in Saudi Arabia. And so that was the question. Who do you think they're backing? Who do you think Blackstone is backing, Trump or Kamala? So essentially, Kerry said Trump. Fraser said Kamali. Joe said, I sincerely hope it's Trump. Mike says Trump. Kamal says Kamala. Solomon says Trump. Golden Dragon says Kamala is on now. Same bull stuff. Good. God bless America. Don't Blackstone start as a calling card company? Pretty much. Trump, hopefully, is what Jason said. JP said Mr. T. Shelly says, I hope it's Trump. Golden Essential Dragon says, I hope it's Trump. Click on the three dots and unhide. Click on the three dots and unhide. I don't know. On the issue is I don't have the YouTube live chat. I have the other chat. I have the platform that I'm using, Restream chat. I don't have essentially that chat. But let me see if I can do it from here. Okay, so the candidate that was chosen, Davey says Trump, Steve says back IG, Mr. Trump. Why do you think Brad Goldeners wants Kamala? I'll tell you why Brad doesn't want Kamala. Brad said he's non-partial, so he doesn't care which candidate it is. It's Chris Lawson that's been essentially investing into the other side, with Ripple also, investing in the other side, which is Trump. Now, Blackstone, here's the answer. Blackstone said they're backing Trump. Blackstone is going to be backing Trump, which is massive news for Blackstone to be backing Trump. Which basically means, Trump is pretty much the winning candidate at this point if Blackstone is backing them as well. Let me try to unhide. Great, I'm not logged in on you. Sorry. Let me try to unhide. Because by mistake, I blocked someone. Let me try to bring them back in. Hope this works. Sorry about this, everyone. We're going to go straight back into live. Just need to, by mistake, unblock someone that I blocked. Now, you see, I don't have it on my comment section. Yeah, the problem is, the problem is because I'm not live on YouTube directly. So I'm using Restream to go live, and because of that, okay, I hope this works. Okay, let's see. I hope this works. Comments. How do I see the comments? Oh, here we go. Okay, close. Let's see. Where is he? Where is he? Yeah, the issue is. Okay, I can't do it on my side either. Yeah, I can't do it on my side either. Where is he? Yeah, chill zone. Chill zone is. It's not here. Okay, chill zone. Can you do me one favor? Can you try to put a comment, see if it goes through? Yeah, I can't do it on my side either. Restrictions, community moderation, participants. No. Reactions, pop-up chat, community moderation. What's this? Yeah, no, I can't do it on my side. Okay, Chosen, I need to do one. You need to do one thing. You need to go on X for now until I can figure out what the hell happened with your comments. You need to go on X. Apologies about that, Chosen. I can't, because the issue is I'm not using YouTube Live. I'm using Restream, which restreams to YouTube and X, which means I don't have direct access to YouTube when I'm going live, which means for the time being, go to X so you can still make comments. And at the end of the live, I'll try to figure out how I'm going to be able to bring you back. So if you're watching this right now, apologies, Satoshi Chosen, for what's happened, for you not being able to comment. Shay, if you can, please tell him regarding the comments. So going back into the live, apologies about that, everyone. I'm very sorry as well, Chosen, about what's happened. But I need to figure out how I can able to do it essentially through Restream, because that's the platform I'm using. I'm not using YouTube directly to go live. That's why. Apologies. So everyone answered essentially Kamala Trump, and Blackstone essentially is the chosen person. I just hit the unblock button as a mod. Did that work? Brilliant. Because on my side, I can't see that screen. Let's see if that works. Chosen, try the comments, see if it works. Reading you the report now from essentially Blackstone. Blackstone, essentially Wall Street executives at the FII meeting, essentially in Saudi Arabia, say we expect Trump to win. This is Wall Street executives doing a speech, essentially in Saudi Arabia, saying they're expecting Trump to win. Wall Street executives, Ken Griffin, Steve, essentially they signaled support for Trump's 2024 campaign after previously distancing themselves from the former president. Kevin Griffin and the CEO of Seattle, and Steve, essentially the CEO of Blackstone Group, are a part of the Wall Street's essentially executives in Saudi Arabia for the Future Investment Initiatives Conference. During their speech, they shared their thoughts about the likely outcomes of the United States elections, both executives from these major establishments in Wall Street both said that Trump is going to be returning to the White House. Griffin acknowledged that it would be a close race, stating that we are at the moment of peak of uncertainty. But if it's a race that Trump is favored to win, but almost a coin toss, but we believe Trump is the victory winner here. Griffin's vocal support for Trump comes as essentially a surprise, as the financier previously publicly criticized Donald Trump back in 2022 when he called him a three-time loser. At the time, he was speaking essentially about Trump's losses during 2020 election times and poor Republican performances in elections. These are two CEOs that absolutely hated Trump the first time Trump was trying to become president of the United States. This time around, these two major CEOs from Wall Street are backing Trump. Griffin previously expressed a preference for new leadership and supported alternative candidates early in the campaign seasons, urging the Republican Party to move on from essentially Trump. But now, speaking at the same event in Saudi Arabia, the CEO of Blackstone Group, Steve, also publicly essentially expressed his thoughts on Trump's 2024 campaign. In his words, he said he's a much more stronger base of knowledge on how that job works and how to be efficient and effective doing it than essentially certainly compared to 2016. Stephen and Griffin both said essentially that comments appear to be Trump's endorsements from Wall Street. Everybody on Wall Street is backing Trump. Like Griffin, essentially, and Stephen distanced themselves from the 2022 elections. He also criticized the direction of Republican parties following the 2022 midterms as well elections. And prior to that, they essentially were one of the Trump's notable supporters now. He was the former president's largest Wall Street essentially investor during his run for the second term in 2020. And also, he's functioned as a liaison for the foreign trade talks during Trump's first administration as well. This public show of support could benefit Trump's campaign, as Steve and Griffin is known to essentially put their financial weight behind their words, which is not a lie. The last candidate they invested into, $35 million. They previously invested essentially and donated $35 million to entities supporting Trump and other Republican parties in 2020. Griffin essentially also noted $100 million to pro-Republican essentially political action committees. His endorsements of Trump could lead to financial backing or even provide Trump's campaign access to significant financial networks. The support of these high-profile figures may also rally market-oriented voters around Trump, which would improve his chances at the polls as well, even further. So far, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are at the deadlock, with Griffin and essentially the financial elites with significant influence. It's unclear whether their backings will be enough to tip the scales in Trump's favor. I'll be honest, their backings is definitely going to be enough to tip the scales into Trump's favors, because these two massive, I'm talking about massive CEOs, doing a speech in Saudi Arabia at the Financial Initiatives Conference, saying they're putting their weight behind Trump. Blackstone Group, essentially in Seattle, are putting their weight behind Trump, which is massive news. And as I said, the last time these two essentially CEOs made donations, one of them made a donation of $35 million, the other one $100 million donation, and they're both backing Trump right now. Wall Street wants Trump to win. Their reasoning is the important factor. The reasoning why Wall Street wants Trump to win is because Wall Street wants to win. Wall Street is tired of the essentially traditional market space getting battered inside the United States market space. And they know that Trump is the only man that can fix the economy. Even Wall Street knows that essentially Trump is the best candidate. And they're not standing behind Kamala Harris like the rest of the essentially billionaires or millionaires that are backing Kamala Harris, because they don't want the Diddy tapes to come out. Now, moving off essentially the two massive executives and CEOs backing Trump and putting their weight behind it as well, their money behind it, to the major world bank, Standard Chartered Bank, has just announced a new partnership. Standard Chartered Bank is going to be partnering with, I'll tell you once we get to that news. But first, let's go to the comment section. I just want to get some questions out of the way. Let's see what's going on here, because there were some questions that I skipped beforehand because I was trying to find out how to unblock Chillzone. Let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what was going on here. By the way, this is a live, which means if you do have any comments, put them down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's see what was going on here. High fees. High fees will help RLUSD get a higher adoption rate, which is true. Circle is going to be doing higher fees on USDC coin, which is the most dumbest move they could have possibly done in the history of crypto. With more institutions joining in, they should be welcoming the institutions, not trying to extort essentially more fees out of them, which just opens up position for RLUSD to take that position for them. Kamala is now, same as the bull stuff, God bless America. Don't Blackstone. I already read that comment as well. Click on the three dots, read that as well. Steve back. Why do you think Brad essentially wants Kamala? Why do I think Brad wants Kamala? It's not Brad that wants Kamala, and it's not even Ripple. Here's the thing. Ripple is backing both candidates. Okay, it's half the story is only being told for the longest time in social media and on the news. Ripple is not only backing Kamala Harris. Ripple is also backing Trump. But here's the thing. Ripple is backing, well, not Ripple itself, but the people that are running Ripple. One of them is backing Trump. The other one is backing Kamala. But here's the thing. Ripple, essentially the two executives or the essentially CEOs from Ripple, they're backing the parties more than the candidates. Because let's just say, you know, the date comes around and it's announced Trump is the next president of the United States. Amazing. The market's going to go even higher. Now, that doesn't mean the other side of the party, the Democrats, don't have a voice on any movements that happen in that 4 years. The Democrats still have a voice. The money that's been paid into the Democratic fund from the crypto companies is to essentially so the Democratic parties in that 4 years that Trump is president don't throw a spanner in the middle when Trump is trying to, you know, essentially pass some crypto legislations or change the financial systems and so on. So the reason why essentially Ripple and crypto companies are investing into both political parties, because they're not investing into one, they're investing into both political parties. Because everybody talks about how Ripple invested 10 million XRP into Kamala Harris, but nobody's talking about how they've also invested into the Republican Party as well. Ripple's done to both. Brad himself is a neutral party. He's mentioned this many times. It's the members within Ripple that are doing these donations, not Ripple itself or Brad himself. So they're backing both parties essentially. So don't listen to the hype of, you know, Ripple is backing only one particular candidate. No, they're backing both. They're backing both parties. Because even though essentially Trump does win the elections and becomes president, on the other side, you're still going to have Congress essentially going in and throwing a spanner in the middle, which means the Democratic Party need to be paid off. And by paid off, I mean donations. That's why. But it's not Brad that's doing the donations, and there's a reason why they're doing it. It's all political. I've said this many times. Everything is about politics. The entire crypto space, the crypto market, the real estate market, the automotive market space, the stock market, everything is about politics. That's why. Hopefully Trump, whoop Trump. They are backing Trump, whoop whoop. All good. I'll send him a message, Shelly, thank you for that. Trump. I just hit the unblock button. I don't know if that worked. He hasn't mentioned it yet. Hello, Miles and CMF. Glenda, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Jesus is Lord. He gives you his cares for your forgiveness of sins through Jesus only. Let's go. Amen. I put my weight behind Trump. Let's go, Ray. Which is facts, what he said, essentially. Now, major world bank, Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank has made an announcement of a partnership with a surprise cryptocurrency exchange. Standard Chartered Bank is going to go into partnership with OKX Exchange. Now, OKX Exchange also has a token, OKB, but it's like Binance with BNB, and OKX has OKB. So, Standard Chartered Bank, one of the massive British banks, is going to be backing essentially in a partnership of OKX. OKX has announced a strategic partnership with Standard Chartered Bank, appointing the global financial institution as a third-party cryptocurrency custodian for its institutional clients. OKX said in an official statement that it was important to work with reputable institutions like Standard Chartered Bank, the bank which is one of Hong Kong's 3 major bond issuing banks and British essentially, has a significant position in international banking, claims to provide the level of assurance that institutional investors are looking for. Institutional investors need assurance, and we provide them with the assurance by working with such a respected bank, the stock exchange said in a statement, describing this development as a new milestone in institutional crypto custody. OKX also said the importance of secure and scalable solutions for institutional clients in increasing. According to the official blog post, As the cryptocurrency markets matures, digital assets are no longer previous essentially as a mere speculative investment, but are emerging as an essential component of diversified portfolios. OKX also cited findings from a report by Economist Impacts, which revealed essentially that 80% of traditional and crypto markets and crypto hedge funds using digital assets rely on third-party custodians, which is completely facts. Now, one thing you should know about Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank has a crypto arm. Their crypto arm is called Zodiacs. Zodiacs is a partner of Metico. Metico is the one actually providing Standard Chartered Bank through Zodio their custodial services. Where did Metico get that custodial service from? Well, Ripple. Ripple, Metico, and HSBC were the ones that essentially created this custodial service for any sort of crypto assets to be using, for any sort of banks or institutions to be using. So when OKX Exchange says and mentions that OKX Exchange is now partnered with Standard Chartered Bank, OKX users are going to be having some sort of custodial services coming out of Standard Chartered Bank, they're actually talking about the platform that Ripple created. There's a little perspective on the matter there. Now, moving away from the OKX Exchange announcement of Standard Chartered Bank, and if you want to look at OKX Exchange, they do have their own token as well by the name of OKB. Like how Binance has BNB, even though Binance claims it's not theirs. So, what we're going to talk about next, moving away from Standard Chartered Bank and OKX Exchange announcement, which is a major announcement. It just shows that, essentially crypto is, as they said, not a speculative asset anymore, with more institutions joining the wave, partnering with crypto firms. Amazing to see. What we're going to talk about next is one particular crypto asset that is going to pass Ethereum. Now, before you start, essentially thinking to yourself, how is that possible? Or what is this crypto asset? Well, I'm not talking about market cap in terms of passing Ethereum. What I am actually talking about is the amount of wallet users. One particular crypto project is about to be essentially ranking higher than Ethereum on the amount of users in terms of wallets. And that crypto project is TON. T-O-N. Now, I said this a very long time ago. Telegram has about 900 to 1 billion users. It was bound to happen regarding TON getting the amount of users it is. So TON set to overtake Ethereum holder essentially counts by December 2024. Recent data from CryptoQuant shows that the open network could soon surpass Ethereum in holder numbers. Currently, the token has essentially 137 million holders. Ethereum has 137 million holders. TON has 112 million holders. However, TON's fast adoption may allow it to overtake Ethereum by December 20th, 2024. CryptoQuant's projection reveals a sharp increase in TON's adoption rate. The growth marks a substantial shift in the competitive surroundings of blockchain networks. As of October 25th, projections suggest that TON could reach over 140 million holders by the year end. The increase in position of TON has a potential leader in the holder count. CryptoQuant's analysis includes a chart that tracks both TON and Ethereum holders. The data shows that TON's recent growth has a steep upward trend. In contrast, the Ethereum's growth rate remains steady but much more slower. The difference in growth rates has a crucial implications. If this trend continues, TON may redefine the current ranking among blockchain networks. The increasing number of holders shows a growing interest in the alternatives to Ethereum. Moreover, the rise of TON holders suggests a stronger interest in the new blockchain projects. The expected rise in TON's holders could affect the broader blockchain industry. Traditionally, Ethereum has been the dominant blockchain for everything. However, the rapid growth of TON presents a challenge to the dominance as well. Additionally, more holders may attract more developers to TON. This situation could lead to a thriving ecosystem of applications and increased utility. As users' engagements rise in the networks, it may see more interest from the investors. Moreover, TON's growth may indicate a trend towards diversifying user preference in cryptocurrencies. As users explore essentially emerging networks, the competitive dynamics of blockchain technology may change. As TON approaches a possible crossover point with ETH, industry watchers are monitoring these developments, as December nears, the cryptocurrency community will keep a close eye on how these trends essentially are developing. TON's rapid growth could signal a turning point in blockchain ecosystems. By challenging Ethereum's dominance, TON may bring a new era of blockchain competition. TON, as I've said many times, has access to Telegram's entire user base. And eventually, everybody who uses Telegram will have access to TON. Every single person that uses Telegram will have eventually a TON wallet. That is going to be happening 1 billion%, because that is what they're aiming for. TON was developed by Telegram themselves, and then Gary Gensler decided to sue Telegram at a moment in time. Telegram dropped the TON Foundation. Sooner or later, the TON Foundation was picked up by a few developers. TON and Telegram partnered together as a loophole so the SEC can't sue them. And then TON started climbing that ladder with Telegram. And then all of a sudden, the Telegram founder was arrested and apprehended in France. They tried to stop his growth. But TON is going to become, if the whole Telegram founder situation settles out, TON is going to become a massive ecosystem, but that's only if that situation settles out. Now, moving away from one particular crypto asset that's going to be challenging the amount of holders on Ethereum, which is TON, to Bitcoin's ETFs approach a major benchmark aimed weekly BTC searches. I'll explain what I mean. So Satoshi Nakamoto has $1.1 million. Satoshi Nakamoto has 1.1 million Bitcoins. Now, the institutions that are inside the Bitcoin space and the ETF space and so on, the amount of Bitcoins they're holding altogether is actually reaching 1 million. US-based Bitcoin ETFs could hit essentially a major milestone, quickly approaching a significant landmark that could see them surpassing the estimated 1.1 BTC attributed to Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. So American institutions collectively together are going to be passing Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin holdings. But they're going to be passing it collectively together, not as a single unit. So the Bitcoin essentially creator Satoshi Nakamoto by mid-December is what's being estimated. Bloomberg's Eric essentially anticipated this development driven by essentially steady influx of approximately 17,000 Bitcoins weekly. 17,000 Bitcoins weekly are being pumped into these ETFs of inflows. With Bitcoin's appeal growing, Bitcoin's ETFs have drawn substantial weekly inflows, edging them closer to the million essentially BTC mark. Should the current pace continue, these funds could outpace even Satoshi Nakamoto's holdings within the next 6 weeks. ETFs holdings currently total around 983,334 Bitcoins. They're not that far off. With some of the industry's largest essentially asset managers, BlackRock and Grayscale, holding a significant share of these funds. Among the ETF issuers, BlackRock holds the largest percentage, accumulating 41.5% of the total Bitcoin ETFs, essentially. Closely followed by Grayscale, which contributes 25.9% of BlackRock's holdings, now totaling around 408,000 BTC, helping their position of these funds the top BTC holders worldwide. Should this growth continue, Bitcoin ETFs are poised to surpass Binance, which currently holds 667,000 worth of BTC as one of the largest entities holding Bitcoin. Through external conditions may alter the trajectory of the steady rises happening in Bitcoin ETFs, holdings highlight significant market enthusiasms, while the current trend supports continued inflows, may essentially of any market volatility or investor sentiments shift could accelerate or delay this milestone. Analysts suggest that favorable market conditions could push ETFs beyond the anticipated December targets. As Bitcoin ETFs gain a momentum, essentially, that they are becoming prominent players among the top Bitcoin holders, rivaling Satoshi Nakamoto's position, a notable institutional entities. Should ETFs reach this milestone, they will mark a new phase in institutional Bitcoin accumulation, underscoring these funds' substantial roles in broader cryptocurrency market spaces. So, American institutions collectively, together with their Bitcoin ETF holdings, are going to be passing Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin portfolio in terms of the amount of Bitcoin they hold. So there is definitely a shift happening where an unknown person or an entity by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, who created essentially the foundation of Bitcoin, holding 1.1 BTC, American institutions are going to be passing Satoshi Nakamoto in Bitcoin holdings. Who saw that day coming? Now, moving away essentially from American institutions overtaking the portfolio of Satoshi Nakamoto in terms of Bitcoin volume, but definitely does show the sentiment that's coming out of Wall Street. Everybody on Wall Street is essentially head over heels right now in crypto assets, particularly in the ETF space as well. To billionaire Justin Sun is what we're going to talk about next. Billionaire Justin Sun has just made some announcements of big news is on the way for cryptocurrencies. Justin Sun, the founder of Tron, one of the world's largest cryptocurrencies and also one of the most recognized and wealthy names inside the cryptocurrency market space, announced in his statements that he will be making a very big announcement soon. The announcement comes at a time when Bitcoin has essentially prices have exceeded $72,000. The BTC price also broke all-time highs price records in Turkish lira times and Canadian numbers as well. There's essentially, Justin Sun said in a post that big news about Tron will be announced. In addition, he also stated announcements periods has finally arrived, referring to general rise inside the market space. The content of Justin Sun's announcement is unknown, but his post following this post, Tron memes is ready to fly. Apparently, Justin Sun's big announcement is going to be about Tron launching a meme coin section, a sector inside of Tron. Suggests that the announcement may be related to meme coins. Recently, especially after the success of meme coins on the Solana network, Justin Sun launched a meme coin platform on Tron network. But this platform quickly burned out and then faded away. It is said that the new announcement may be related to Justin Sun's cryptocurrency exchange HTX. Tron also already is added as a collaboration with HTX, and Justin Sun reported that the exchange's new slogan is the only meme coin that can change the world. Apparently, Justin Sun is going to be creating the ultimate meme coin possible. So if you're inside the meme coin section, go and check out Justin Sun. Apparently, he's going to be doing something major inside the meme coin section. But also, Justin Sun, if you didn't know, he's aiming to become a prime minister of a country. A lot of people might not know this inside the crypto space, but Justin Sun has actually been recommended. Essentially, some announcements have been made that Justin Sun is going to become a prime minister of one particular country that nobody's ever heard of. It's called Liberland. Liberland is going to be making Justin Sun their prime minister. Now, the announcement has been made for a while. We don't know when the date is going to be announced, but the announcement has been made. Now, moving off the major announcement from Justin Sun to Coinbase and the SEC. Coinbase's CEO has made statements that the SEC should apologize the way they've treated essentially the crypto space. Coinbase's CEO made comments about how the chairman of the SEC should apologize to the crypto space and how the new chairman following the seat of Gary Gensler should not be acting the same way Gary Gensler did, which I agree with 1,000,000,000%. Gary Gensler was an absolute tool. And, you know, the faster Trump comes into power, the faster this guy is jobless, the better it is for everybody. And everybody can move on much more happier knowing that Gary Gensler has no job. Do you think Tom will surpass Ethan price time? It could do possibly. I mean, 1 billion users. Telegram has access to 1 billion users, which means Ton has access to 1 billion users eventually. But it's not going to be an overnight type of situation. But Ton does have the capabilities to pass Ethereum. Not overnight, but in a decade or so, it could possibly pass it, yes. Or even sooner, who knows. Basu, how you doing? Hi. Thanks, Miles, for telling us to look into Ton. I'm so glad I got some. Let's go, Jason. Yeah, I revealed Ton to everybody the day Ton was announced. I revealed a lot of crypto projects. Sorry, what? I revealed a lot of crypto projects to a lot of people, to everyone on this live. And all the crypto projects that I've announced have all been established crypto projects. I've never, essentially promoted any sort of random projects to anyone. Now, Coinbase CEO. Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, has said that the new US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC chairman, should stop all lawsuits. This is what I like. Coinbase's CEO mentioning in a comment that whoever's next chosen to replace Gary Gensler should stop all of the lawsuits that are happening. So whoever's next chairman of the SEC should stop the Coinbase case, stop the Kraken case, stop the Wells notices that's happening inside the crypto space, but most importantly, the number one case that needs to stop is the Ripple case. And I agree with essentially Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. Whoever's chosen as the next SEC chairman should stop all of these lawsuits. The chairman said that the next SEC, essentially the CEO of Coinbase said that the next chairman of the SEC should stop all of these lawsuits against the crypto companies and apologize to the American citizens. Brian Armstrong also accused the regulators of inconsistently defining crypto assets. He posted a chart with various statements by SEC officials on this topic, including a quote from the former commissioner, William Hinman, who said in 2018 that digital assets cannot be clearly classified as securities. This statement and other materials from Hinman became the basis for Ripple Labs' essential defense in the lawsuit with the SEC. The conflict between Coinbase and the SEC has been going on for several years, Brian Armstrong said. In late March 2023, Coinbase received a notice from the SEC that the regulator planned to take enforcement actions due to possible violations of security laws. This warning concerns some crypto assets on the platform such as Coinbase Earn, Coinbase Prime, and Coinbase Wallet. In April 2023, Coinbase essentially filed a lawsuit against the SEC to compel the commission to respond to the request for new rules to regulate the cryptocurrency space. However, the SEC asked the courts to dismiss the lawsuit, citing a lack of obligation to respond promptly to such requests. In June 2023, the regulator filed its lawsuits against Coinbase, which included Coinbase Inc. and Coinbase Global Inc., but did not name Armstrong or other executives from Coinbase in the lawsuit. The SEC also charged Coinbase for failing to register the offer and sale of its crypto asset staking as service programs. The SEC statement read, "Since then, the standoff between the SEC and Coinbase has escalated. The exchange has filed multiple motions for partial summary judgments. However, the conflict between the regulator and the platform remains unresolved. The crypto community and the SEC have been in high tensions for several years, and this standoff has intensified with Gary Gensler's appointment as head of the SEC. He actively essentially discusses the possibility of the resignation that's going on right now after the presidential election in 2024. Although his term officially ends in January 2026, it is correct. Gary Gensler's job technically has to be terminated around January 2026. Gary Gensler will be able to keep his job if Kamala Harris gets chosen, unfortunately, as the next president of the United States. But if Trump gets chosen as the next president of the United States, Gary Gensler is jobless within 48 to 24 hours. Although his term is officially ending in 2026 January, historically has been shared that the SEC heads should leave their positions due to a change in presidential, essentially, administrations. Given Gary Gensler's controversial stance on digital assets, this situation is exciting to the crypto market participants. If Kamala Harris wins the election, a new head of the SEC can be accepted, essentially can be expected, but knowing Kamala Harris, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's probably going to keep Gary Gensler around to 2026. But if Donald Trump wins, significant changes of regulatory policies towards crypto industries are predicted. The new change in the SEC leadership may lead to a new stage in developments of American cryptocurrency markets, and especially given the current heads of critical attitudes toward digital assets, market participants hope for a more constructive interaction with new leaderships and creating a more transparent and regulatory environment for the crypto industry, so that the people can trust the SEC once again, because there's not a single person inside the crypto space right now, or anybody inside of any market space, that trusts Gary Gensler. Nobody inside the crypto space trusts the SEC or Gary Gensler's movements at all. So I agree with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, 1,000,000%. And I know for a fact everybody watching this right now also agrees with the CEO of Coinbase that whoever's chosen as the next SEC chairman has to drop all of these lawsuits and apologize to the market space, especially to the crypto space, for the way the crypto space was treated during this. Because the SEC has one job: protect investors. Instead, it's been damaging investors. While the banks get away with everything. Now, moving away essentially from the Brian Armstrong speech, how the SEC should drop all their charges against everyone inside the crypto space, to China. China's economy has not been doing too well for a very long time, but they're keeping a very hush-hush regarding the matters of China's economy not doing too well. And it's mostly their real estate market space. The real estate market space in China is doing horrendous. So, while the great surge in Bitcoin continues, $1.4 trillion earthquake news from China. China is reportedly considering a physical package that includes more than 10 trillion yuan, a $1.4 trillion of essentially new borrowing over the next few years to stabilize its fragile economy. The plan expected to be approved by the Standing Essential Committee of the National People's Congress, NPC, at the meeting from November 4th, essentially the 8th, aims to combat local government debt, risk, and simultaneous growths, according to people familiar with the matters. The proposed package includes 6 trillion yuan of special government bonds to be issued over the 3 years, starting in 2024, has already been happening slightly. The financing world primarily targets informal local government debt, which has ballooned and aimed essentially a long-running property crisis. The entire physical plan would be financed by special treasuries and local government bonds equivalent to more than 8% of China's GDP, and signals essentially a Beijing's move towards more aggressive economic support measures. The timing of the NPC meeting could give Beijing flexibility in adjusting its physical package in former President Donald Trump's wins. The sources said, as he returns, is expected to increase economic tensions between two countries. The new information is consistent with market speculations that China is preparing for a significant stimulus through its fall short of 2008 boom-like situations. Some investors had hoped for the physical discussions follow aggressive monetary measures the central bank implemented in late September, the most significant support since the COVID-19 pandemic situation in China. China's, in the most simplest form, China's about to be pumping the entire market space with $1.4 trillion, which is going to boost China's economy, which will boost the market space in general, stock and crypto, which is great news for us. But the longer they keep on boosting their economy, the bigger that bubble is going to become for China, and the bigger the bubble, the worse the drop for the economy. In addition to addressing local governments' debt risk, the NPC Standing Committee will also greenlight up to 4 trillion yuan in special purpose bonds to purchase ideal and land properties over the next 5 years. According to the sources, financial analysts said that the moves were an indication that Beijing's current situation in these matters are to stabilize the financial system and support domestic demands with emphasis on addressing hidden debt burdens first. Beijing's policy approach prioritizes local government debt, financial stability, and cementing domestic demands, said Tommy Zhe, the head of Greater China Research at the OCBC Bank. While sources said the financial plans were not finalized and were subject to change, the timing of the upcoming NPC session and its clash with the US elections signals a strategic approach. So, China is going to be pumping its market space, $1.4 million or 10 trillion yuan, which is great news. Because if China is going to pump their markets, which means we're not going to be seeing a collapse in the Chinese market for now, not saying a collapse isn't coming for the Chinese market space, it is. Their real estate market space is terrible. It's all over the place. The numbers show it. The numbers are screaming for a bubble to be bursting in China's real estate space, and in France's real estate space, and in Germany's real estate space, and a few other countries as well. So, but China's going to be pumping their market space with $1.4 trillion. We have the US elections going on, which is positive. China pumping their market space is bullish. Essentially, the US elections coming up is bullish for now, but Trump has to win. If Trump wins, the market bullish sentiment continues. Trump loses, market's going to drop. And again, that's not my words. This is the words from about 6 reports, different institutions. Morgan Stanley reports, Goldman Sachs reports, Franklin Templeton reports, BlackRock essentially reports, and JP Morgan reports. So these are all analysts, and Eric, these are all analysts from their reports from these major institutions, all saying the exact same words. The closer we get to elections, we're going to see $73,000 Bitcoins. I've been saying this for the past week. As you can see, the closer we are getting to elections, we're going to be seeing $73,000 Bitcoins. Then they said, when we get to the election date and it's announced, President Trump is essentially Trump is the next president of the United States. Then they said all of these reports have said the exact same things. Then they said, we're going to be seeing $125,000 Bitcoin, not overnight, moving towards $125,000 Bitcoin, which is again bullish. But Trump has to win. And all of their reports said if Kamala wins and it gets announced, prepare for the worst. But that's their report. We can keep it as an outcome. So far, their reports have been correct. We're not that far off. Now, moving away essentially from the China and pumping their market space of $1.4 trillion, which is also bullish, which means China is trying to keep their market alive in this sentiment that's going on right now, which is amazing news because they're not crashing. If they crash, the market's going with it. So they're pumping their markets. Great news. Now, moving on to essentially a analyst report, which is from QCP, which is again very, very, very similar to Standard Chartered Bank's report, Goldman Sachs report, JP Morgan's report, BlackRock's report. Analysts from QCP Capital shares what they expect for Bitcoin price as the US election approaches. Bitcoin has surged 4% the last 24 hours to above $71,000 and beyond, with investors expecting the rally to continue as the US elections approaches. While the expectations of an increase in the market continues, analysts from Singapore's based crypto trading firm QCP Capital. By the way, it's not just American institutions or Wall Street saying Trump has to win for the market to do better. It's also Deutsche Bank from Austria. Austrian banks are saying Trump has to win. Singapore is saying Trump has to win. Saudi Arabia saying Trump has to win. Hong Kong saying Trump has to win. The reason why all these countries are getting involved and mentioning, Trump has to win is the basic reasoning is because the US markets affects the world. And as I said many times, the Bank of International Settlements put it perfectly, very simple quote. If the American markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold, which is facts. This is why Singapore essentially doing the report and saying, well, Trump has to win for a good economy, for everybody. Hong Kong doing a report from Standard Chartered Bank saying Trump has to win for everybody. Saudi Arabia doing speeches at a finance committee saying Trump has to win for everybody. Austria Bank doing a report saying Trump has to win for everybody. Wall Street in the United States stating on Bloomberg Trump has to win for the economy. And then you have reports from other essentially financial institutions, all of them lining up saying Trump has to win for the economy. Because all of these banks inside of essentially the United States, all of these institutions on Wall Street inside the United States, the banks in Austria, the banks in Hong Kong, the banks or the analyst firms in Singapore or the analyst firms in Saudi Arabia, they know 1 billion% that if Kamala Harris becomes president, we're all doomed. Forget about just the United States market space is completely gone. Everybody is going to be going through the worst time period of their entire lifetimes. Because every single one of these banks institutions knows that she is incapable of trying to fix the economy. Because this moron by the name of Kamala Harris was working alongside Joe Biden. And as I said yesterday as well, the day before, and the day before, and the day before, that everybody inside the market space, everybody inside the crypto space, everybody inside the political space will say to you, the ones that support, essentially Kamala supporters, will say to you, because CNBC says this, or essentially these news channels say these, and they think it's gospel. Here's the thing. Everybody says who supports Kamala, they say Kamala is only the VP, and Kamala didn't have responsibility. Biden was in charge. Kamala didn't have a voice as the VP. Kamala on CNBC essentially and The View, she did an interview. The interviewer on live news asked the question to Kamala, would you have done anything differently from what Biden done over these years? She said no. She would have never done anything differently. And then she was asked the question of, essentially, on the reasons of why we need to do it differently. She said, I was a part of all the pivotal, essentially, decision makings. She was a part of all the crucial decision makings of what happened to the United States economy. So for everybody out there who still keeps on claiming Kamala Harris had no voice, Joe Biden was the president, she had no voice. She said she would have never done anything differently to Joe Biden. And she also said that she was a part of every crucial decision making. That is why everybody in Wall Street, every bank, every institution inside the United States, banks in Singapore, Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore, their branch in Singapore, Austrian Bank, Deutsche Bank in Austria, Singaporean, essentially, analyst firms, Saudi Arabia analyst firms, they're all screaming, Trump needs to win. The economy needs to be fixed. Trump needs to win. Because they know that Kamala Harris is incapable. Because Kamala Harris would have repeated Joe Biden's movements. Can you experience another 4 years of this BS? Do you really want to experience, essentially, is what they're basically saying. Do you really want to experience another 4 years of high inflations? Another 4 years of you not being able to buy a house? Another 4 years of you not being able to put gas in your car? Another 4 years of you choosing what groceries to buy because your money doesn't add up? This is why the banks and institutions, now the banks and institutions are not doing this because they're in favor of the retail section. The banks and institutions are doing this for their own. But the retail section should do it for their own as well. The banks and institutions are doing this because they want Wall Street to thrive. Wall Street can't thrive under Kamala Harris. It's barely able to breathe under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. That is why not just the United States market space, but Singapore, Hong Kong, Austria, Saudi Arabia, they're all screaming from the top of their lungs, Trump needs to win. Otherwise, we're all doomed. Analysts said, essentially from Singapore, said that the rally in Bitcoin with surpassed $70,000 levels for the first time in more than 7 months was supported by strong inflows of the Bitcoin ETFs worth $1 billion and other factors. The $1 billion that was essentially inflowed into Bitcoin ETFs was because of Bloomberg, because of Wall Street. Wall Street is hedging against the US economy sliding downwards. Why is the US economy sliding downwards? Maybe ask essentially Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' administration. Stating that the rise in cryptocurrencies has also spread to crypto-related stocks. Analysts from Singapore said that the companies at the intersections of crypto and artificial intelligence essentially are gearing up for this scenario. Now, analysts stated that the rise of Bitcoin ETFs was supported by the increasing probability of Donald Trump's victory. Apart from ETF inflows, and said that Bitcoin was in a better position for the rise compared to stocks. Even the guy, the billionaire guy from a hedge fund on Bloomberg, said that he's hedging against essentially the traditional market space by going for the digital market space asset. Now, the QCP analyst also recently stated that the continuous open interest in the stock market is the highest levels in a year and gives a strong signal for an increase, saying Bitcoin is up 3.5% since our last comments, topping higher than $70,000 for the first time in over 7 months. These are all positive. Market is positive. Why? Trump. This supported by several factors, including the essentially Wall Street backing into the Bitcoin ETFs and the rising odds of Trump's victory have supported both stocks and crypto because it has Wall Street. They're happy. Wall Street is jumping up and down. They're finally able to breathe. The closer we're getting to this election date, Wall Street is getting, essentially more prepared for a Trump victory. While call options have softened, as BTC essentially consolidates above $70,000, sustained open interest on exchanges is at a yearly high, signaling a strong position for potential upside. So, reports from America, reports from the United States, Wall Street institutions, banks, reports from Austrian banks, reports from Singaporean, essentially analyst firms, reports from Hong Kong banks. Reports from Saudi Arabia, everybody saying Trump, Trump, Trump. Why? Economy. Most important factor. The most important factor, economy. It needs to be fixed. Because if we go down this path even further, we're going to have essentially a 10 times worse recession in our hands than the 2008 scenario, where the bankers essentially were giving out properties like they were giving out free samples in 2008, which made the markets collapse. But you can see everybody who is in the market space wants Trump. And then you have people supporting Kamala Harris. Don't do it. It's the worst thing you could do. You're essentially saying, I want to experience 4 years of high inflation, 4 years of not being able to buy groceries, 4 years of not being able to fill my car up with gas, 4 years of not being able to buy electricity. That should be Kamala Harris's campaign slogan. Vote for Kamala if you don't want to be able to afford anything. The whole world needs Trump to win. Facts. Absolute facts. What Shelley said. I see there's even been rallies in other countries for Trump to win. Crazy. Yep. Japan is having rallies for Trump to win. Japan. The amount of countries that are lining up for Trump to win is ridiculous. But I understand, because everybody wants the economy fixed. Everybody. And Kamala is not the person. I wouldn't trust Kamala Harris to make me a cup of coffee. Never mind run a country. He threw her under the bus with that one loan. Yeah. And if Harris does win, you think she is Obama's back pocket? Yes. Facts. She is. Joe Biden was in essentially Obama's back pocket. Kamala Harris is in Obama's back pocket. Because she damn sure can't do anything on her own. She was a part of every crucial decision. What crucial decision? They sat there and did nothing for 4 years but sent billions overseas. I think that was the crucial decision she was talking about. Somebody said blah, 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 scammer. I'm guessing Mr. blah, 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 scammer is a Kamala supporter. For your information, Mr. blah, 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 who put a comment like that, I don't know how I can be a scammer because I'm free. For 2 years inside the crypto space, I've never charged a single penny. I do a live every single day for free. I have a Telegram group for free. Everybody can contact me. They can message me. Random people inside the crypto space can message me on Telegram for free. If they want, they can essentially also schedule a call with me for free. Do a video call with me for free. Message me for free. So for 2 years. I actually made a comment about this on X once. I said, if anybody is charging you money inside the crypto space, essentially, if anybody's charging you money inside the crypto space for content, if they're charging you money to call them, if they're charging you money inside the crypto space to message them, to join their groups, they're not here to help you. They're here to exploit you. So Mr. blah, 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 I've always said one thing, get your facts straight before you go after someone. Because I don't charge a single penny. Never did and I never will. I don't need it. Your crypto outlooks on everything is spot on. Your crypto outlooks on everything is spot on. All love CMF, all facts. You got me cracking up over Kamala part though. Best daily crypto show ever. Let's go, Ray Ray. 100% Miles is the most honest man on social media. Facts. Miles, give him no energy. You're a true human that gives to others. Let's go, Golden Dragon. Now, BlackRock is what we talk about next. BlackRock CEO predicts further Fed rate cuts. This is the cherry on top. Here's the thing. We're going towards the elections. Okay, so the cherry on top. We're going towards the elections. Positive, bullish. Why? Because we're on the verge of a Trump presidency. So that's bullish. Number one. going towards election is bullish because of Trump. Number two, China boosting their market space with $1.4 trillion so they don't collapse for the time being. Bullish. Number three, a rate cut this year is a cherry on top. Because with all of that happening, China boosting their economy so they don't collapse and damage the market space, Trump becoming president, pro-crypto, and then a rate cut is a cherry on top. Rate cuts, in the past, people would tell you, oh, rate cuts is bad for the market space and cryptocurrencies. They have zero clue what they talk about. The first rate cut we had, what happened inside the market space? These are facts. The first rate cuts we had inside the crypto, essentially inside the traditional market space, the first rate cut we had, what happened to cryptos? They climbed in price. Why? Rate cuts are an indication the economy is not doing too well, which means you hedge against that. How do you hedge against it? By going for an alternative asset, which is why the first time we had a rate cut, what happened? Crypto raised in value because people were hedging against that market space, the traditional market space, with an alternative market space, crypto. That's why Bitcoin started rising, and we had a little bit of an altcoin situation going up as well. So this is definitely a cherry on top if we do get a rate cut as well. Now, this prediction of a rate cut is coming from BlackRock's CEO. So, going to the elections, bullish. Trump becoming president, bullish. China boosting their economy with $1.4 trillion, bullish, so they don't collapse. And a rate cut, cherry on top. BlackRock CEO predicts further Fed rate cuts before year end. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, discussed his expectations for the Federal Reserve's upcoming policy decisions at the Future Investment Initiatives coming up. He highlighted the ongoing monetary pressures and the challenges that the Fed faces in responding to the current economic conditions. Speaking to a global audience, Larry Fink said that the Federal Reserve may cut interest rates another 25 basis points before the end of 2024 to balance rising costs. This prediction has sparked discussions about the possibility of the Federal Open Market Committee making further rate cuts, with some essentially concerned about a more aggressive 50 basis rate cuts, even better. So that's a cherry on top. Going to an election, right now going towards an election, is positive. Trump wins presidency, positive. China boosting their economy with $1.4 trillion, positive. So they don't collapse. And then a rate cut at the end of the year as well, or two rate cuts, cherry on top. Genuinely, it's a cherry on top. CBDCs is what we're talking about next. Moving off the cherry on top news to CBDCs. CBDCs set to transform payments. Here is something you probably didn't expect, but CBDCs are going to be growing ridiculously. Ridiculously. So according to research that came out on a new report, CBDCs are set to transform payments with explosive 2,400% growth. According to a recent report that came out, a leading digital market research firm that did this report, transactions using central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are expected to rise over the next decade. As per the analysts, CBDC transactions may increase from 307 million transactions in 2024 to a striking 7.8 billion transactions by 2031, indicating a growth of almost 2,400% in CBDCs. Currently, here are the facts from the Bank of International Settlements. Currently, 134 countries and currency unions are making up 98% of the world's economy, and they are all actively researching or moving forward with their CBDC plans. This represents a huge jump from the 35 countries that stood out in May 2020. Of those, 66 countries are already well underway, with some of the testing phases or having already introduced CBDCs. 66 countries are getting close to a launch date of CBDCs. 66 countries. I can name a few of them because they've announced themselves. Brazil launching their CBDC DREX 2025. The EU launching their CBDC 2025. India expanding on their CBDCs 2025. The UK is getting close to launching in 2025 on CBDCs as well. Not for payments to be used in everyday use, but test payments are going to be essentially happening in 2025. Russia, digital rubles is coming out in 2025 CBDCs as well. But there are 66 countries getting close to their CBDC releases. But 134 countries in total are in CBDCs right now. The notable CBDC pilot projects are China's digital yuan and the European Union's digital euro. Many European countries are exploring mainly wholesale CBDCs. This is because wholesale CBDCs are aimed at streamlining transactions between countries. They focus on large-scale transactions that banks and businesses conduct. In contrast, retail CBDCs are especially meant for individual consumers or retailers. The research shows that both forms of CBDCs, wholesales and retail CBDCs, could have a huge impact, with their adoptions likely to simplify and cut the cost of payments on global scales. One of the main challenges in adapting CBDCs, as per the study report, is the interoperability, or the ability of different CBDCs to work together seamlessly across borders. Here's the thing. They're wondering, one of the things that are, essentially the analysts are wondering is, how are all these CBDCs going to work together seamlessly? Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a platform by a company named Ripple. One of the main challenges is that, but there is one company that can solve that equation. And ironically, that one company that can solve that equation of connecting CBDCs together so they can work seamlessly is also on the Bank of International Settlements PDF documentation titled Cross-Border Payments. And ironically, the thing that the analysts can't work out is, how are these CBDC payments going to work in cross-border payments internationally? And there's a PDF document titled Cross-Border Payments, Bank of International Settlements. On it says SWIFT, Ripple. Public information. So there's the challenge all of a sudden solved. To make CBDCs an internationally accepted mode of payment, the countries need to come together and work on common consensus or systems for those digital currencies to interact with each other. This will avoid the fragmented structures that exist in markets today, with digital currencies can only function with specific countries or regions without shared systems. Very key word here, without shared systems. There is a risk of creating separate digital islands that could reduce the benefits of digital currencies' global trade. So for CBDCs to function the way they're supposed to, there needs to be a middleman. What do you know? So for CBDCs to function properly worldwide, there needs to be a middleman system. Did you know that India announced 2 days ago that they're actually doing test payment trials on essentially XRP? Did you know that the Bank of England did test trials on XRP as well? Did you know that the Russians did also test trials on XRP for CBDCs as well? I can go on with the whole, did you know this bank or that bank or this bank or that bank did test trials on CBDC payments? The report also highlights that the importance of collaboration among CBDC developers. It encourages support from the Bank of International Settlements, which has essentially started several projects to get essentially a set global standards. By working together, countries can create a required infrastructure for CBDCs. This collaboration is essential for making CBDCs a true global payment option. The report also points to increase in savings that CBDCs and stablecoins could bring to international payments. By replacing traditional payment systems that involve costly infrastructures along with intermediaries, CBDCs could save an estimated $45 billion in cross-border payment fees by 2031. Traditional methods for sending money across borders are often expensive, partly because they pass through multiple banks, which can add multiple fees. By using digital essential currencies, payments could move directly from sender to receiver without these extra stops, reducing stops and costs and increasing transparency. The interest in CBDCs has grown rapidly since the concept began gaining traction a few years ago. Among the 134 countries now looking into CBDCs, 66 are making fast progress. 66 countries, once again, are making fast progress, either piloting their CBDCs, which means small portion releases, or rolling out their own currencies. Every G20 country, which includes the world's largest economies, is a part of the global shift towards digital currencies. There are currently 44 active CBDC pilots. Did you know that also? With China and essentially China and Europe leading the way, with 44 other countries as well leading the way. Regarding China's digital yuan, one of the most advanced CBDC projects, without a doubt. Similarly, essentially, is already widely tested within China with plans for broader adoptions. And similarly, Europe's digital euro is undergoing various essential transactions as well as larger financial transfers between and European countries. As digital currencies adoptions increases widely, consumers and businesses alike could see easier, faster, and cheaper payment methods options available. Look, I've said this, about a million times, but we're heading towards the CBDC world. If you still haven't realized, inside the crypto space, the whole point of the world transforming into a digital space is not because of privacy, okay? Because we've never had privacy, to be fairly honest. With the amount of, essentially, we can go down the Snowden route, but we're not going to do that. But we don't have privacy. Going into a digital world means absolutely zero privacy. We're going into a digital world for control, which is CBDCs, which is social credit systems, which are carbon footprints, which are ESGs, is essentially what companies have right now. And these are all factual information. But we're going inside of a digital world more and more because of CBDCs, because of social credit systems, because of control, not privacy, control. And nobody can hide in a digital world, for a matter of fact as well. And it's been discussed many times by Homeland Security as well. But they've mentioned many times that nobody can escape a digital world. Cash is the only one that's untraceable 100%. But cryptocurrencies, you can do 1,000 transactions. They'll essentially follow you transaction to transaction to transaction because it's a public address. But anyways, point that to one side. I said this a million times. If you're inside the crypto space, if you've been inside the crypto space for 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, don't spend your golden days, minutes, seconds, hours inside the crypto space chasing unicorns when all you have to do is understand why the world is shifting into a digital era. Just sit there by yourself and think to yourself, why is the world, why is the banks, why is the institutions joining the digital world? Why is the world essentially going towards a digital world? Is it because of privacy? Hell no. Is it because of innovation? Up to a certain extent. But it's because about control. Every centralized bank is in CBDCs, control. Every government is doing testings on digital IDs, control. These are all indications. So, simplest way to put it, 24,000 crypto projects, 24,000, 26,000, 27,000 crypto projects, and only one of them has an active CBDC platform. Ironically, has multiple CBDC awards. Is with the Bank of International Settlements. It's titled Ripple, has a project called XRP. 98% of centralized banks, 66 banks, 66 centralized banks are in CBDCs. 134 centralized banks are in CBDCs. 66 of those centralized banks are getting close to a release date. But I said this many times, don't spend your golden hours inside the crypto space chasing unicorns by chasing camel token, frog token, cat token. It's the dumbest move you can ever do. Because you're going to look back, the world's going to be in CBDCs, not that far off. 2025 is when a lot of CBDCs are coming out. We've had some CBDC releases this year, but 2025, a lot more CBDCs are coming out. We're going to be in a CBDC world sooner than you think. And you're going to be holding cat token, frog token, donkey token, camel token, while the world around you is in CBDCs. And not a single person is going to be buying from you camel token, cat token, donkey token. but they'll be buying from you essentially XRP. They'll be buying from you essentially AVAX or TON or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or so on. But nobody's going to be buying from you camel token, cat token, donkey token in a CBDC world. The only donkey in that scenario is you for holding donkey token in a CBDC world. Genuinely. The only donkey in that scenario is the person holding donkey token in a CBDC world. So don't get left behind. We're going into a CBDC world. Realize why the world is transforming into a digital space. It's not because of privacy. It's not because of mostly innovation. It's because of control. We're going towards a CBDC world. What's the backbone of CBDCs should be the number one question you ask yourself. Now, which is XRP, if you're still thinking to yourself. ZA Bank is what we're going to talk about next. ZA Bank Crypto, another bank in Hong Kong joining the crypto space. ZA Bank Crypto trading pilot program for retail investors. Despite restrictions over cryptocurrencies in China, its broader sharing region, Hong Kong, has been essentially marking milestones in the cryptocurrency market space. As per dozens of surveys, it is one of the fastest evolving essentially digital asset markets in the world. ZA Bank and the subsidiaries of ZhongAn Technologies International, essentially ZA Bank, has announced the launch of a sandbox trial for virtual assets trading services for retail investors. Now, ZA Bank, based out of Hong Kong, is actually letting Chinese investors come through as well for the crypto market. The branch of ZA in Hong Kong is preparing to introduce its crypto-based trading services following the completion of their pilot program. The official blog post by ZA Bank notes that the bank and several other studies have found a surge in interest, interest among retail investors concerning cryptocurrency trading. Regional finance experts argue that the move to launch the initial service is solely backed by surging popularity and adoption of digital assets worldwide. In their own bank blog, the bank cited that crypto has the great potential, as is also referred to its market capitalization, referred to a survey that claims that roughly 75% of retail investors in Hong Kong have expressed interest in trading digital assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others. ZA Bank has also fully prepared for final launch of their virtual asset service orders to meet the growing demand for the digital currency space and related services among retail investors. Following the launch of the CEO of ZA Bank, Ronaldo, he said, "This milestone not only signifies ZA Bank's continued progress towards our banking for Web3 vision, but also demonstrates our commitment to supporting the development of virtual assets in Hong Kong." One last day for the previous month essentially reported that Hong Kong's SFC had given a green signal to ZA Bank for Type 1 regulated activities. The Regulatory Commission has played a crucial role in shaping the crypto market and its regulations in that region. Another traditional essentially bank in the US, FV Bank, has also announced its partnerships with Visa, including providing crypto asset services, which I revealed yesterday. The banks of Hong Kong shifting towards Web3 is amazing news. Mox Bank became the first bank in Hong Kong to do this, to offer cryptocurrency services and essentially ETF services as well. It is worth noting that the neighboring country of Hong Kong, China, has imposed strict restrictions on cryptocurrencies and services. Before the ban, it was one of the most favorite locations for crypto miners and anybody else inside the crypto space. Banks in Hong Kong and some subsidiaries of China banks functioning in the region have also explored the potential of digital currencies. The region is one of the fastest evolving crypto hubs in the world, and also sharing expertise with others in order to help them understand digital assets. The introduction and sudden popularity of the blockchain and technology have opened up many doors for traditional financial space systems and reduced the time and efforts required for cross-border transactions. However, it is worth noting that the terms of these adoptions, India remains the topper for 2 consecutive years, but the regulatory stance in nations is worse compared to others. So, another bank in Hong Kong green-lighted to enter the crypto space, which is amazing news, the blockchain space. Now, moving off that news essentially to Paxos is what we're going to talk about next. Because Paxos has and by the way, if nobody knows what Paxos is the company that was behind BUSD. BUSD, the famously known stablecoin from Binance. If you ever used it, you would know what it was. But BUSD was a massive stablecoin, and BUSD got taken down. But Paxos was the company behind them inside the United States. Paxos is also the company behind PayPal stablecoin. They were also behind multiple other stablecoins as well. And Paxos' CEO has written a letter, which he has shared with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And I'll tell you what the letter is, but let's go inside the comment section first. By the way, this is a live, which means if you have any comments, don't be shy, put them down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And once again, Showzone, if you're watching this right now, Showzone, I do apologize for you not being able to comment whatsoever. I'm sorry I couldn't fix the problem. I would have to fix it towards the end of the live somehow. I don't know how, but I'll fix it. Please subscribe and like this video, friends. Let's go. Web3 community building crypto projects. Thank you so much for the kind words. Very good advice, Miles. Thanks again, bro. No problem, William. Anytime. Jumbo, what's up? Hello. How you doing, Pity? Let's see what's going inside the comment section, just in case there are any questions. Let's see where we were at. 100% Miles is the honest man on social media. Let's go, Ghostman. Thank you so much for the kind words. Miles, give him no energy. You're true. Let's go. Miles, brother, you don't have to explain yourself to the desperate versions. Okay, I think those were the only comments to go through inside the comment section. Do you want any more comments? Whether I see it as really no. Okay, so we're good. We have all the comments. Now, Paxos. Paxos CEO sends a letter to Trump and Kamala. Paxos CEO warns US could become a Rust Belt of finance and urges stablecoins. In a recent open letter, Paxos' CEO, Charles, expressed concerns that the United States is risking falling behind the global finance without adapting stablecoin technology. Addressed to the current presidential candidates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, the letter warned that the outdated financial systems could lead the US into economic declines, describing its potential scenario as a Rust Belt of financial services. Charles highlighted the efficiencies within traditional financial systems, noting that millions of Americans remain unbanked or underbanked, despite rapid technology and adoption worldwide. Charles pointed to stablecoins as the solution, describing them as digital representations of the US dollar built on blockchain technology. Stablecoins enable faster and more accessible payments, providing a critical upgrade to the nation's payments technology, and could expand financial access essentially undeserved populations and reinforce the dollar's role as the global currency leader. In the third quarter of 2024, stablecoins market capitalizations reached an all-time high of nearly $170 billion, driven by adoption of regulatory clarity from the EU's new crypto rules, according to Coinbase and Glassnode. Stablecoins have gained traction as payment tools and are widely used in remittances and cross-border transfers. Anthony recently suggested that stablecoins could become the primary medium in the machines-driven economy as transaction volumes neared $20 trillion year to date. While the European Union and countries like Singapore and the UAE have implemented progressive crypto regulations, Charles noted that the US regulatory uncertainty has made it challenging for firms like Paxos to operate domestically. He expressed concerns that without a clear regulatory framework for digital assets, the US may lose jobs, capital, and innovation to countries that are more supportive of the blockchain technology, which is facts. But that was a letter, an open letter, sent to Trump and Kamala Harris from Paxos' own CEO, that the US needs to start essentially going into towards stablecoins, or they're pretty much guaranteed to get left behind. The US dollar or the US economy is going to become one big rust belt, which won't be good in any sort of way. But there are other essentially things in place, or which I've discussed before on this live. Now, moving off the open letter that was sent by Paxos CEO to Trump and Kamala to Ripple's co-founder. Ripple's co-founder did an interview. He did an interview where he was asked multiple questions on how he sees things maybe playing out in an election and so on, and how he sees, the economy moving forward and the crypto policies moving forward. So, Ripple's co-founder, Chris Lawson, I think everybody knows by now who Chris Lawson is. Chris Lawson, one of the co-founders and chairmen of payments firm Ripple, who has donated millions of dollars to support Kamala Harris for president of the United States. He explained that his endorsements for the Democratic candidate came down to crypto policies. In an interview with CNBC, Chris Lawson said he believes that regardless of whether who is the next president, Vice President Kamala Harris or Republican President Donald Trump, who wins the 2024 elections, the war on crypto is over. In 2025, the war on crypto is completely over. It's facts. The Ripple co-founder added that he was supporting Harris because he was really excited about her economic message. She doesn't really have one. Of encouraging US-based innovation, citing her roots in the tech hubs of the Bay Area. Nobody believes for a second that Kamala Harris has roots in technology. Apparently, Kamala Harris had roots working as a McDonald's employee, which turned out to be an AI picture. But here's the thing. As I said, Ripple is playing both sides. Okay, keep that in mind. Ripple is playing both sides. And if one side doesn't win, that one side still has a voice, even when Trump is president. Just saying, Democrats still have a voice, even if Trump is president. So Trump wants to fix the economy and bring some crypto regulations, which is all massively positive. But the Democratic Party can still throw, spanners in the middle of it and try to slow down the progress if they wanted to. So this is basically donations to keep these people happy and silent. He said, I'm just really, really confident that this is going to be a completely different approach than, I'll just say, the failed policies that the Biden administration brought when it came to crypto and digital assets, said Lawson. Because, frankly, I think they just weren't paying attention. And they sort of outsourced it, Senator Warren, and it was disaster. But that was going to be how the Harris campaign approaches this. I'm extremely confident in that. The Ripple co-founder has contributed roughly about $12 million to the Political Actions Committee's PAC, supporting Harris, making the bulk of contributions in XRP. His public contributions put him far ahead of the announced support for the crypto industry leaders like Gemini's co-founders Cameron and the Tyler brothers, who contributed roughly $2 million to the PAC supporting Trump. Many of the contributions from the crypto industries, either through PACs or directly from executives, have gone to support for congressional candidates in the 2024 election cycle. The Fair Shake, essentially a PAC primarily backed by Coinbase and Ripple, has spent millions on essentially media buys to support and oppose candidates in the House and Senate for what they expected to be extremely close race, which is facts. Okay, one thing everybody should know. Ripple is invested into Trump because they have. Now, here's the thing. Also, when I say Ripple, I don't mean directly Ripple. I mean their founders. So David Schwartz, for example, David Schwartz has made donations to Donald Trump. Chris Lawson has made donations to Kamala Harris. So which means Ripple is invested into Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, in the middle, there is Ripple, Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com. They have a crypto fund for politicians, which they distribute towards Republicans and Democrats, anybody in favor of crypto assets. So what's actually happening right now is a distribution of donations going to politicians to make them all happy, to bring them all on board. They're bribing politicians. Another word for bribe is donations if you're a politician. In the real world, that's a bribe. In the politician world, that's a donation. It's not a bribe, it's a donation. So in the middle, we have Ripple, Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com, making donations to candidates on both sides, Republican and Democrats, whoever's in favor of crypto assets. And then we have Chris Lawson donating to Kamala Harris, David Schwartz essentially donating to Donald Trump. That's the full story. But nobody ever tells you the full story. Everybody tells you half the story. Now, what I saw was all the donations from Fair Shake going to the Republican side. This is another indication. So Chris Lawson said that he saw most of the donations going towards the Republican side. Now remember, the Democrats still have a voice. In the Congress situation, the Republicans are majority pro-crypto. Democrats, majority anti-crypto. So how do you get the anti-crypto Democrats to become pro-crypto? Donations. Everything has to do with politics. The crypto market, the stock market, the real estate market, the automotive industry, every single market space in this world has got politics in it. So essentially him mentioning what I saw were all the donations from the fair shake going towards the Republican side, and said, essentially Chris Lawson said, but Harris's administration has also made it very clear that it's going to be a very different approach going to the reset. I think it's actually good for the industry to have support and weight. Keyword, weight. They want to have weight on both sides, Republican and Democrats. What I did there now was supporting Harris kind of equals that out. It's all in the words, equals that out. So for everybody that was tweeting, this is why I say most people don't understand how politics works or how corruption works. I know very easily how corruption works. I'm not going to get into the details of how I know how corruption works, but I know how corruption works when it comes to politics and corporate sector. But here's the thing. It's all in the details of the words he's using. He said the only reason he's donated to Kamala Harris's side or the Democratic side is to even it out, to equal them out. Because Republicans, as I said, majority pro-crypto. Democrats, anti-crypto majority. So how do you get the anti-Democrats, even in the 2024, Trump presidency, essentially, the 2025 presidency of Trump, how do you get the anti-Democrats pro-crypto? You pay them off, donations. So for the people that are essentially tweeting out, Chris Lawson is donating to Kamala Harris, what about the SEC battles? Or, does Chris Lawson not have any self-respect? Or, essentially Chris Lawson, are people going to be voting for Kamala Harris now because of Chris Lawson? Ripple's backing them. It's all one big show. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand how corruption works. That's the issue. You don't understand how corruption works. You don't understand how the political world works or how the corporate sector works. You don't understand what anything works inside of that market space when you're making those tweets. It's in his words. He's saying he's equaling it out. Fair shake side and affiliates PACs defend American jobs and protect progress and have supported Democratic candidates as well across the country. But most media buys have gone towards Republicans. The crypto PAC that's going on between Ripple, Coinbase, Crypto.com, and Kraken, the crypto PAC with all the crypto money inside of it going towards candidates, has only been going towards Republican candidates. No wonder the Republican candidates are all pro-crypto. The easiest way to get a politician, pay him off. Politicians are scum. The easiest way to get one backing you for anything, pay him off. So the political, essentially, the crypto pack they created with Coinbase, Ripple, Crypto.com, and Kraken, they've been essentially paying off mostly or donationing mostly to the Republican candidates, while as the Democratic candidates were left out. So what does Chris Lawson do? Balance it out. Some of the most significant elections involving crypto PACs include the Massachusetts Senate essentially race between Republican John Deaton as well and Democratic Elizabeth Warren, and Ohio State race between Republican Bernie Monero and essentially Democratic Sherrod Brown, the chair of the Senate Banking Committees. As of October 29th, many polls showed that Trump and Harris were neck and neck and in crucial battleground states that could determine the winner of electoral votes and so on. But that's why it's been happening, okay? So now you know the full story and you have a glimpse, genuinely a glimpse of how the corruption in politics works. The only reason Chris Lawson did this is not because he's pro Kamala Harris. No, he's trying to balance it out because the crypto wallet from the mixture of money coming in from Ripple, Crypto.com, Coinbase, and Kraken, they have a big crypto wallet that keeps on feeding into Republicans. That's why Republicans are all trying to pass legislations. And then Democrats are like, nope, we don't accept it. So what happens? Chris Lawson goes, I need to balance it out. And starts feeding money this way also to Democrats. Because they're anti-crypto. These people are pro-crypto. The reason why the Republicans essentially are pro-crypto, they're being paid off. Essentially, the Democrats aren't being paid off as much. So Chris Lawson, balancing things out. That is why. This is why I say a lot of people don't understand inside the crypto space, because the tweets I read sometimes inside the crypto space, it genuinely makes me think, Do you even have brain cells before you tweet? When I see people tweeting regarding the Chris Lawson situation, or Chris Lawson donating to Kamala Harris, or people going to be voting for Kamala Harris now in the Ripple section, ha ha ha, lol. Are you a moron? This is why I say that, honestly, about 99.9% of the crypto space, the people that are tweeting inside the crypto space, the influencers and so on, about 99.9% of them have zero clue, genuinely zero clue of how the market works, of how the corruption works, of how politics works, of how the corporate section works. It's embarrassing, the tweets I read. But that's why it was happening. They're trying to balance it out. Because that's how corruption works. And that's how bribes or donations work. And that's why it's been so easy for Republican candidates to pass laws. Republican candidates have been passing crypto policies as much as they can. But then the Democrats say, no, we don't accept. Why do you think the Democrats don't accept? Because the Democrats understand how blockchain works. The Republican candidates don't understand how blockchain works either. But the reason why they're passing laws or trying to pass laws is because they're being paid off. Whereas the other party is like, hey, where's our donations? And Chris Lawson goes, here you go. Now it's balanced out. And people tweet, oh, how can Chris Lawson donate to Kamala Harris? Idiots. Hey, Miles, what's up with Casper right now? Do I need to worry? I don't know what's happening with Casper. I'll be honest, Daniel, I haven't looked into Casper once for even a second. Let me look into it for you right now. Let's see what's happening with Casper. Casper. Do you know why I get frustrated? I'm not frustrated because those people are morons. Know for a second. I couldn't care less that 99.9% of influencers are morons. I couldn't care less about that. What I care about is the people, the regular people, the retail section, reading those tweets and thinking, yes, that's probably why. That's what frustrates me. It doesn't frustrate me that I have to read stupid tweets from morons with no brain cells who think they understand how the world operates or how corruption operates or how politics operates or how the corporate sector operates. That doesn't bother me because I know those morons have no brain cells put together. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the regular folks, the retail section, reading those tweets and thinking it's gospel. So going, yes, it must be correct. That's what frustrates me. Because I don't like to see regular people be misguided by people with no brain cells. That's what's frustrating me. Daniel, Derek messaged me. I'll take a look at it, see what's going on with Casper. Casper with a K, yep. Casper with a K. Message me, I'll take a look at it. No problem. But good to see you as well, Daniel. How you doing? But yeah, honestly, that's what frustrates me. When I see misguided tweets from people with no brain cells, misguiding everyone, that's what bothers me. I don't like to see people get misguided. And I'm frustrated of people I don't even know. But I just don't like to see, innocent people inside the crypto space get misguided. I heard they're supposed to merge the HBAR. Ah, yes. If that's what you're referring to, yes. I read out the news yesterday regarding the merge that's going to be happening on HBAR. So on yesterday's live, I talked about that scenario. I don't know what the estimate dates on that matter, but I do know that's happening. If you want, what about Casper? There's a merge scenario happening. Daniel, to be fully informed of Casper's movements, go to Casper's official X page and see what the recent new tweets are. They've most likely mentioned some dates on the matter as well. So go to Casper's official X page. Don't go to random, essentially X pages, but their own official X page. They've most likely pinned some tweets or essentially their recent tweets. Check them out, say essentially see what they've said, because they're most likely updating people step by step. What about Casper? That's what about Casper, George. Now, we've also reached the endings of tonight's live as well. So, all good things must come to an end, which they have right now. We talked about on this live, on the CMF live, on episode 191. We talked about Ripple's co-founder, Chris Lawson. We talked about Paxos' CEO sending an open letter to Trump and Kamala Harris. We talked about ZA Bank in Hong Kong launching into the crypto space and letting some Chinese investors come through as well. We talked about CBDCs, essentially going to be transforming the financial space. 2,400% growth in CBDCs is going to be happening. We talked about essentially BlackRock's CEO for cherry on top kind of news. We talked about essentially analyst firms QCP and Capital essentially sharing their new report on their marketplace. We talked about on tonight's live regarding the surge, the great surge in Bitcoin that continues, the $1.4 trillion that's coming out of Chinese market spaces to boost the Chinese market space so they don't collapse. We talked about the next SEC chairman, a perspective coming from Coinbase's CEO. We talked about the billionaire Justin Sun making some new announcements coming very soon. We talked about Bitcoin ETF market space, the numbers and the reports. We also went for the news topic on TRON overtaking Ethereum in the amount of wallet users. We also talked about essentially Standard Chartered Bank partnering up with OKX exchange. We talked about the news topic on tonight's live regarding Wall Street executives in Saudi Arabia from Blackstone and Seattle stating that Trump needs to win. We also talked about on tonight's live regarding Circle raising their USDC fees and essentially more record numbers on Bitcoin ETFs and so on. So those were all the news topics we covered on tonight's live, which was absolutely amazing. So if you missed any of those, essentially, if you missed any of those news, rewatch the live. Thank you, Thank you, Miles. Good night, Mike. See you tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. Thanks, Miles. Scott. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Brilliant live, Miles, as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Jason. See you tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. Share the live, folks. Let's go, Scott. I don't have an X account. Ooh. Daniel, I think it's time for you to create an X account because if you want to be inside the crypto space, you need to have an X account. You need to have an X account if you want to be inside the crypto space, Daniel. Otherwise, there's no way around it. Thanks, Legend. Much appreciated. Night and day to all CMF. Shelly, let's go. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. Thank you, Miles. Good night, Miles. Lena, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Shelly, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Ray, great live. Take care, Miles. And CMF, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Ray, brother. And also, if anybody was watching this for the first time ever, this was the CMF Live, which stands for Crypto Miles Family. I'm your host, Miles, which I go by the name of Crypto Miles, the persona of Crypto Miles, which is hence the CMF. But on this live, you can tune in every single night where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about on how the world is transforming into a digital era. And this was episode 191 of the CMF Live. Any updates on CPI news? Nothing so far. Thank you, Miles. Have a good night. CMF, Ghost Runner, let's go. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. Good night, Miles. Daniel, see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. George said Casper with a C. Casper with a C. George, Derek messaged me. Oh, George, nothing happened with Casper with a C. He was talking about, Daniel was talking about Casper with a K, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Shelly, for that. And if you already haven't, like the live, or if you're watching us on X, like, retweet, put a comment outside. If you're not following me already, follow me on X. If you're watching us from YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't, and put a comment outside the video on the live as well, and like the live on YouTube as well. So we've reached the endings of tonight's live. Now I'm gonna fix. The issue is, one second, I need to fix the comment section for Chill Zone. I think I need to add Chill Zone as a mod so that he can re-comment on the videos again. And that's the only way. So I'll do that. We'll end the live and then Chill Zone, comment outside the video. Chill Zone, you know, I'll message you on Telegram. Miles, how long word at the end of the live was from Mary Poppins? My friend Bill and Ted said your live was excellent. Let's go, Joe. Miles, that long word at the end of the live was from Mary Poppins. My friend Bill and Ted said your live was excellent. Let's go. That's what it was, Mary Poppins. That's what I was thinking about, that long word. It's fixed. It's unhidden now. Thank you so much, Shelly, for letting me know. Thanks so much for letting me know, Shelly. Good night, Miles. Peace. William, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. It's fixed now. And Shelly, thank you so much for all the help today as well. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. And if you haven't followed, follow. If you're watching us on X, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you watch us on YouTube, and retweet, like, share, comment. Let's go. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See you tomorrow, everyone. 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards.